what's up, Derek? A quick demo video for you for your Revan light side hilt. Got this done last night. As you know, I sent you some pictures, but I was just exhausted last night. So making one of these is just, I just couldn't do it. So here we are this morning to go over this guy. So obviously 2 buttons set up here. This top button here is going to be your activation, and your bottom button here is going to be your auxiliary. So this is a completely removable chassis. So what I did here is we'll take the pommel cap off. The pommel cap actually acts as your chassis retention. So you can see your chassis sticks out that far. It actually butts up against the pommel cap when this thing is screwed all the way in. And then you got a 24mm bass speaker here that is recessed into the chassis enough to where it won't vibrate up against the pommel cap. So this chassis, once the cap is off, it just slides right out, just like that. Now, the diameter right here, you know, it is exactly the size of the PCB. So I don't have a holder coming up over the sides of the PCB like I normally do. It is just adheres to the end of this chassis, but it's a very tight fit. It's not going anywhere on you. And actually, when it's slid in here, the sides of that, if you could see where that change in diameter happens right there, it actually comes up against, I back the PCB up down far enough to where it sits along the edges of that diameter. So it acts as its own holder, if that makes sense. And then here's your activation button, your auxiliary, your Proffie board. So this is just a tight press fit down into the shelf. So if you ever need to pop this guy up and do any configs, you can do that, and then it will be a tight press fit right back down, right where it's at right now. So you can see how nice and even there. Boom. Removable battery setup. So your spring is going to be your negative side of your battery, and then you can see this. Hopefully you can see that without the glare there. I got this channel that I modeled into the chassis, right? So on the last one of these guys that I did, the set screw was in a different place, so I actually had to take these claws off and move them. But on yours, when it came in, it was exactly where I wanted it to be. So if you can see in there, right on the bottom, there's a little set screw sticking out. That is what I use to clock the chassis. So if you put this in the incorrect orientation like this, it stops right there. It's not gonna go any further until you twist it and you hit that set screw, and then it'll go right into place. And then you push it right until it stops, right? So there's no guessing on your part. Let's throw a battery in it.
I know the rest of your story.
So it may come on when I put it in, because I do have gesture controls on your Proffie for you. Maybe not. There we go. We'll slide that in. We'll put the pommel cap on. And first we'll do the gesture controls, so you can just stock LEDs looking good. Twist off, or we can use the activation button. And we'll just hold the activation button down to turn it off. Just like that. So I've got a little test blade. We're going to throw it in here. Your blade retention screw is right there. So we'll lock this puppy into place. Flash on clash. Now this particular blade style, I put where if you had a full length blade, you'll only see that lock up on a particular portion of the blade, but because my test blade is so small, it kind of eats up the whole blade. But this is just for testing purposes, right? So as you can see, everything's working good. I really like those motion controls better than the buttons, but it's good to have the option. So when the blade is off, obviously the auxiliary will switch sound fonts.
Final steps.
I think I went with the red on pretty much all of these that I put on here just because I like it. This one has kind of a slow retraction, or I'm sorry, the blade activation, and then as the blade stays on, it kind of goes from a red to a hotter, and it kind of does its thing slowly like that. And then also when you turn it off, it has a slow retraction rate for the color as well.
Smooth fuzz.
We're just gonna go through them, right?
Team C. Smooth Jedi. Smooth Gray.
Just so you can see everything's working.
Fuzz.
So everything's working there. We'll take the blade back out. And then, of course, to take the battery out, you just take the pommel cap off, and we'll just do the reverse of what we did when we put it in. So pull it right out. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you could just use this. Kind of lame though without the saber. Plus I get nervous playing around with this thing when it's not in the hilt because I don't want to break it, but pretty cool, right? So everything's working good. Hopefully you're happy with the way it turned out, nice and clean. I'll get this video sent out to you, and I'll pack this up and get it sent out in the mail this morning. So thank you for your business.